Founded in 1969, Fuji Sports is your #1 source for gis and grappling gear, specializing in superb customer service and high-quality judo and jiu-jitsu uniforms at competitive prices. Fuji Sports is a proud manufacturing partner with many established organizations throughout the world, and is also a proud sponsor of U.S. Olympians, BJJ World Champions, and MMA superstars. Fuji Sports offers gis, rash guards, t-shirts, backpacks, shorts, gloves, and more. Visit fujisports.com to buy or customize your own gear today.
Welcome to the MMA Power Hour Super Session. So glad you all jumped in here. We've got an amazing show in store for you. Our co-host, Antonio McKee, the legendary former champion MMA fighter, coach and trainer, had to handle an unexpected event, but he'll be jumping back in later in this episode just as soon as we can. So for now, I'm going to let you know that I'm super happy to have everyone with us, and this first guest I'm really excited about. He is one of the most prolific and decorated amateur wrestlers out there, jumping into MMA in Bellator in the lightweight division, and a lot of people have a lot of belief in what he will do, and I will say that I'm one of them. So really want to welcome to the show Mr. Aaron Pico. Welcome to the show, Aaron.
Thank you, Colin, for having me.
You're very welcome. It's my pleasure. So you did a lot of wrestling, but you also did some other things like pancration and some other types of fighting along with the amateur wrestling. Let us know a little bit about what was going on the last few years with your participation in combat and grappling sports.
Yeah, it's been crazy couple of years. I started off wrestling when I was 4 years old, then wrestled my whole life. I boxed for a little bit around 9 to 11 actually, and then I had like 30 amateur fights. During that time, I had some pancration matches, some amateur MMA, and then I went back to wrestling, and I was getting close to high school, so I won a state championship in high school. Then I decided not to wrestle in high school or college. Then I won a world championship. So I started traveling the world from like 17 to 20 and wrestling all over the world.
That's amazing.
Crazy.
That must have been, and I don't know that a lot of people went that route. It seems like just that it was kind of an unusual, but a choice that paid off. Where so many people don't do that. Or were there several people that you were aware of that made that choice coming out of junior high school? Not many. You're probably one of the unique ones, I think, aren't you?
Yeah, I think in the United States, I'm the only one to actually just say, I'm gonna stop wrestling in high school and not wrestle in college and go straight to international, travel the world. And I'm very lucky, though. I had a great support system behind me that was supporting me, sending me all over the world, and I had great coaches around me, as well as the support from my family. That was the main thing. My parents allowed me to be able to travel the world. I was gone at 17 years old by myself with my coach, traveling all over. So very thankful for that. But it was a great experience, and I'm glad I did it. I wouldn't change it.
I understand that must have been really cool, and it must have had had a lot of exciting and unusual elements to it. What are some of the things you liked the most about traveling around the country and participating in pancration and in the other grappling amateur grappling matches? There must have been a lot of interesting things, staying in a lot of hotels or a lot of different houses. What are some of your favorite things that you did during those few years?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is just traveling the world at a young age is really cool. It gives you a whole different perspective on life and the world, and not many people, especially where the people that you hang out with, your friends, actually get to say they've been to Russia, Ukraine, all over the parts of Russia, all over the world. So you kind of have a different mindset to the other people, and my favorite thing was actually just getting to know people, seeing the culture, seeing the way that they do things, seeing just the little things that people, when they go to the market or like their little markets, their coffee shops, and seeing the different religions. I was in a Christian part, I was in a Muslim part, so it was just really cool. It just it shows you that no matter where you come from, what religion, what this or that, it's everybody in the wrestling community. We're all one family, and there's people all over the world that have helped me out, and it's just great to be around and see.
That's excellent. It's really good to hear. And you were pretty well received as an American, because I know in several countries were not necessarily the most popular, but did the wrestling aspect of it transcend that, and you really were well received by the communities in all these different countries?
Absolutely. I can't think of one bad experience as far as traveling. Like in the wrestling community and even outside. Of course, I mean, anywhere you go, there's rude people anywhere you go. So,
True.
But as far as a whole background or the whole time I was traveling, they embraced me really well. I have friends all over the world. They brought me into their house. I shared meals with them. They shared stories with me, and I was always welcome anywhere I'd gone, and I'm very thankful for it. It was a great experience, and I'm glad I got to do it when I was young, and I look forward to doing it in the future as well.
Absolutely. And the training there, were there really different training methods in the different countries, or were they all actually pretty similar as they would be in the wrestling community here in the United States?
I think the biggest thing for me is that they all train. I think we all train similar, but the only thing is that they train freestyle all year round. They have no college wrestling or high school wrestling, and the whole mindset as a kid when you're learning how to wrestle is to be world champion, Olympic champion. They don't really put a whole emphasis. They put emphasis on the little kids, but it's more just technique and learning all the different skill sets. And then you go to the tournaments as a kid, but the main goal is to be world champion and Olympic champion. So when you have that ingrained in your mind as a young kid, you're constantly striving to become a world and Olympic champion. They don't have no high school state champ. They have no NCAA champion. It's just the Europeans, the world championships, and the Olympics. So I think they put a lot of time in. The government's behind them as far as creating the champions. Their different cities are behind them. So they have full-time coaches that, their job is to make world and Olympic champions. So it's pretty cool to see. I think the only thing is just that's their whole goal, and they work every day. They have a whole community behind them. They have a bunch of wrestlers, so every day you're constantly getting pushed because they're all high-level kids.
Right. And that's a good thing. And that's one thing that I like that I hear about some of their countries is they really support the collegiate athletes. And, because you're not able to earn any money as an amateur athlete, they kind of really do look out for you guys, and make sure that there's a support system. And I know we're working on it, and I know our country is great and does great things with the community. But that's something that I would like to see more of if possible. Whether, hopefully it wouldn't be a conflict of interest, that I'm not sure. But if we could see our government support collegiate and amateur athletics, that would be fantastic. Make it a little bit easier for you guys to go out and train really hard and do what you do. Yeah,
for sure. I think the biggest thing is like college is hard. My whole philosophy is it's like if you want to be an athlete, for me, I'd rather just focus on that. I mean, be able to get paid. So that was a big decision on me. Is like a lot of guys get beaten up in college as far as college wrestling, and then at the end of the day, it's kind of hard because a lot of them want to pursue that goal, but wrestling in college is sometimes it beats you up a little bit, and then you have to get ready for the Olympics. Sometimes guys don't make it, so it's a tough road to go. But I'm lucky I took the path that I've taken. So.
Yeah, it makes sense, and that's something a lot of people don't think of. You saved a little bit of wear and tear on your body, and on the positive note, you competed quite well against people that were NCAA All-Americans, Division I, and national champions, didn't you?
Absolutely, I beat a lot of national champions, the guys that are making world teams now, that were winning NCAA championships. So. Yeah, there was no doubt in my mind that I would have been an NCAA champion.
Mm-hmm. And, but I think the way you went is very cool. And how old are you right now?
20.
Wow, that is a good young age. That is a good young age, and you've got the experience, but you don't have a ton of wear and tear on you, so that puts you in a good position. And so you're training a lot, and I know that in the first fight they set you up with a really hard fight, and you definitely held your own there for a while, and sometimes basically experience is even better than winning quick, because the way in boxing they set everyone up against tomato cans to get a 20-0 record, right, which really isn't a good thing. And then I think, also some people start winning easily and then basically lose focus and lose in a really important fight. So I think a lot of great athletes have started out with a loss on their record, and like Elio Gracie said, may he rest in peace in jiu-jitsu, that there's no losing. It's you either win or you learn. And so, right, so you definitely learned in a good opponent. And so is there a different focus that you have now at all since that first Bellator match, or have you changed up your training or the team you're training with, or your thoughts as far as what you learned from that?
No, for sure. I mean, it was a tough fight. I mean, I was going against a guy that was 8-2. That was my fault. I take responsibility for it. I ultimately had the choice of who I wanted to fight, and You know, sometimes you bite off more than you can chew, but you know, there's no doubt in my mind that I mean, in a way, I'm glad it happened.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna go down to 145. I think a little bit. I'm on the smaller side of 155, but I'll go down to 145. Obviously, I mean, there's, you know, take it a little bit more slow. There's different things, you know, especially having fought in professional. So just getting my feet wet, getting the experience, getting the rounds in me, is a huge factor. But at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, it sucks, but you know, I'm learning from it. I'm actually kind of happy. I mean, I didn't go in a 3-round war, break my hand, break my foot, and then have to like recover or lose a split decision. I mean, it sucks to get in there and lose right away. But I look at the positives. At the end of the day, I remember I woke up the next morning. Yeah, it didn't feel very good, but I enjoyed the training camp. I enjoyed the fight. I enjoyed just the whole media that I was doing before. And you know, nothing has changed. My skill sets I didn't lose my skill sets over that fight. So sometimes there's a little bump in the road, but you keep going. Like I said, I have no doubt whatsoever in my mind that I will be champion of the world. I've said it since the beginning, since I was a kid. But you just keep going.
Absolutely.
Keep going. If one thing is like, you just go back to the basics. Is you don't quit.
Exactly.
You know, people take that for granted. They say, oh, don't quit. But in reality, it's an actually really good thing to always say is you don't quit, because you're always thinking, yeah, I want to be world champion. Yeah, it's going to be so great. But there's going to come some losses. There's going to come some bumps in the road. There's going to come a lot of things that are going to be thrown at you from people, from all over. But at the end of the day, you get to pick yourself up and you keep going. And that's the only way you can get there.
Absolutely true. And reality is, unlike Floyd Mayweather, who may very well end up being 50-0 and call it quits after that, unlike him, everyone's got a loss, especially in MMA. GSP had a loss. You know, Conor McGregor had a loss early on. Anderson Silva had a loss early on. So in reality, most of the very best fighters have had a career where it wasn't all wins all the time. And so, you know, you learn and it makes you better. And you know, and that's something that's for sure. And I think, you know, exactly, I think your skill set is still there and is great. And you know, I believe in you a lot, and I think you're going to do some great stuff. What other than the wrestling, what do you enjoy in the MMA training, and as far as the other skill sets? I mean, obviously, even if you can get caught in a submission, doesn't mean you don't enjoy the jits or you're not good at it. Do you enjoy the jiu-jitsu? Do you enjoy the striking? What are you liking most, other than the wrestling, as far as what you'll be doing in MMA?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I honestly enjoy it all. I really do. I love the whole training aspect of being able to do it all. But my favorite thing, I love jiu-jitsu. It's very technical, different than wrestling. You got to kind of, you know, slow down a little bit and kind of like, you know, obviously watch out for guys trying to choke you and arm bars and all kinds of stuff. But I really love boxing. I've had a really deep passion for boxing since I was a kid. I had like 30 amateur fights. I'm training with Freddie Roach at Wildcard all the time and getting some sparring down there. So I love boxing, but at the end of the day, I love the whole training aspect. It drives me. I feel a deep passion for it. And that's the biggest thing. I love to fight. I love fighting, but I love the training as well. Just being able to just push your body till it has no more is just a good feeling to me. And I always thrive in environments like that. So just the whole training aspect is a good thing for me.
That's cool. And have you ever had any serious injuries or any somewhat serious injuries at all, or no?
For sure. I had knee surgery actually July 13th of last year. So it's been 1 year since I've had knee surgery. It's been a rough year for me. 2016, I came up. I was second in Olympic trials, and I hurt my knee. So I rehabbed my knee, and then I've been back into it's only been 1 year since my knee surgery. So it's been quite a ride, but it's been a roller coaster. But it's been fun. I've enjoyed it.
That's
always
good.
A smile on my face, even when I don't want to. I always have a smile on my face.
It's important. Attitude really means a lot. It really does. And I think you learn even at 20 years old that two people can be walking down the street with pretty much the same things going on, and one can be smiling and the other can be crying. It's just, you know, a way that you process it, you know, and your attitude and being able to be grateful for what you have and have faith in yourself and the support unit that you have. And so, yeah, I think absolutely you're on the right track, and I think you'll be doing some exciting stuff. Is there talk about a second fight coming anytime soon, or sometimes I know there's several months in between? Where does that stand at the moment?
Yeah, there's some talks. There's just working out all the details, but we should have some news coming soon. So I'm really excited for that. We're getting the team together and the management. We're all sitting down and figuring out where we go next. But definitely there's going to be some stuff on the horizon soon. So I'm excited to share it.
Cool. And you're thinking for sure it's going to be at 45 or at 55, or that's kind of on the fence right now, depending on what they can come up with for you?
I think 45. I feel good at I feel I'm going to be good at 45. I mean, I don't weigh that much. I would weigh 160, 162 around there. So, I feel I'm a little, not to say that I'm small, but in due time, I'll definitely grow into 155. But for right now, I feel I'm a 145 pounder. And as I get older in age, as I mature into my body, I'll be a true 155. But for right now, I feel 145. But we'll see. We'll all talk to the team and figure out where we go.
That sounds good.
Those are my thoughts.
Makes sense. What weight or weights did you compete at over the last few years?
It's been 143 and 145.
Okay, well, that's good then. So that's something that you're comfortable in. I don't think your body changes that much from like 18 to 20. So, that's probably something that would make sense you could do because you've done it so much.
Yeah, I'm not that big at all. I mean, I don't really to make 155. It's actually 156. I don't cut that much. I mean, I always watch what I eat every day. I mean, I try to keep my body in shape. Just all the training I do. Obviously, you can't put garbage in your body, so I'm always staying pretty lean. And 145 won't be a problem to make at all.
It sounds like it. It sounds like it. And speaking of that, is it really, really tough to not go out and have the pizzas and the beers and the drinks and the nachos and whatever else, hot dogs and hamburgers, or is it something that just really doesn't bother you not to have, or you can actually have it once in a while?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I like hot dogs, I like nachos and tacos, I love it all, but the amount of work that I'm putting in and the training that I'm doing, there'd be no way I can take my body to its full potential if I was to put that in my body. So I love it. It tastes really good, but for the moment, but that first practice back is definitely keeps you in check. So I kind of stay away from it. Not that, we slip up here and there. We have a slice of pizza, a bite of this, but for the most part, the training that I do, where I take my body as far as my conditioning, there would be no way possible that I'd be able to take it there if I was eating that stuff. But that stuff's really good though.
Yeah, I hear you. But yeah, the wrong fuel is not what you want. You know what I mean? And definitely no smoking, I'm sure, right?
No.
Good.
No. Sure. I pride myself on conditioning.
Right.
I mean, I'm always in the room. I feel I'm the best conditioned athlete everywhere I'm. So smoking definitely wouldn't help that.
Good. I remember there was a boxer years ago, I forgot who it was, that was apparently smoking all the time, and it was kind of a ridiculous concept, but glad you're not into that. And so I know you're doing some good training, at least some of the time now with Antonio and AJ McKee and the group at Body Shop, Team Body Shop, right?
Yeah. I've been for the past week and a half now, I've been at the Body Shop. It's been great. I actually really love the guys there. It's a great group of guys that love to learn. They push me and they know when to go hard. They know when not to go hard. And it's a great environment, especially with Antonio, coach, is a great guy that knows everything as far as MMA. He's been in the sport for years, and I like his style. I really like his takedowns to being able to hold you down. I mean, I've never felt somebody so strong in my life, and it's not. And I've wrestled with the best in the world. I mean, the Olympic champions, you name it, but I've never felt somebody as strong as him. And as far as strength, it's not that muscle strength where that meathead where he's just going to hold you down. He's very technical. He uses his strength when he has to use his strength, and it's been. I think we're going to do great things together.
I believe so too, and I believe in him a lot. He is the co-host of this MMA Power Hour Super Sessions, and we've had him on a few times, and we had AJ on, and they've got a great group there, and the knowledge that he has and the ability that he has to convey it, I believe in a lot. And I know over the years he's been in so many other top fighters' corners. I remember there was a time where every week I would see him in someone's corner. So people have sought out Antonio McKee, and I think you're really in a good spot with him there, being able to coach you and give his insight on what you do. So I think that
it's simple, which I really like. It's not anything. He doesn't do any fancy dancy anything. He just keeps it simple but very effective, and I think that's more my styles. AJ is pretty crazy. His style is different. Right. Is hard to go against. But as far as Antonio, I think Antonio is keeps it very simple as far as on the ground, and I think I connect well with that. So
Yeah.
like I said, we're going to do really good things together. The whole team is going to do really good. Joey, Antonio,
Yep.
or AJ, and we're all going to do good things. I'm excited for our future.
Absolutely, and I did have Joey on the show as well. I forgot to mention him, but yeah, Joey Davis Jr., amazing guy and a fighter. And all you guys are really young. All you guys, even with Baby Slice in there, all you guys are 25 and under, which is really cool because you're all really young and new into your career and just lighting it up and with a lot of potential. And so have a lot of belief. I think you guys are all going to be champions, and I think you're in the right place, and I'm sure you can feel that as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. I all the guys are really good guys. I really like the energy that they have there. And the main thing is too is like they go hard. There's no doubt about it, but they're not dumb about it. They're not trying to hurt you. I mean, they go hard, but it's a controlled environment, and we all push each other to the limits. But at the end of the day, we all know that rule number one is not to get hurt. So it's cool to have those type of people around you.
Absolutely. Fighting smart. Just like Big John McCarthy would always say in the UFC, fight smart. And a lot of people say it's really important. It's something that I think not enough people think about, but it makes a real big difference, doesn't it?
For sure. Especially in the practice room. That's the biggest thing is a lot can happen. You're probably, guys are a little bit heavier, they're coming down in weight. Some guys are cutting weight and have fights coming up. So like I always preach to everybody, and my parents always tell me is the rule number one is do not get hurt. You get hurt, and you're going to have a problem on your hands. So I've been through it. I've been hurt before, and it's not a good feeling. So it's good to have those people that understand it. And everybody at the Body Shop understands that. So it makes it that much easier in the you have a peace of mind going in that this guy is not trying to kill you and he's trying to make you better. So when you have that, the whole room thrives.
It does make it a big difference because I think we've all been to gyms where that isn't the case and someone's out there to try to prove something, and that's when people get hurt, and it's just not a good thing. So yeah, having that respect is important. And I think that really the martial arts aspect of MMA, and I think wrestling, every combat sport, I really do feel is a martial art, and I think that respect is what a lot of people have that I think makes it a little bit different from only like a pure boxing. And nothing against boxing. I know you like that and you've done it, and I respect that as well a lot and been a fan. Yeah. But I like that the martial arts aspect of MMA is represented so much by so many people in looking out for each other in the gym and in this training. I think that's one of the best things about our sport.
For sure.
Yeah.
I believe it. I believe it. It's just it's one thing like to go in there and fight with somebody and practice with them. Training for a fight is you take it's a whole different ball game. Like when you fight somebody, it's pretty much you're going to remember them forever because it's a big deal. It's not just going out there and playing a game. You're going out there and literally trying to kill the other guys. So it's weird when it's all said and done. You're kind of like a family, I believe. You know, it's like you can put the trash talk away and do this and that, but at the end of the day, he was going through the training that you were going through. He was feeling the same fears and nerves as you stepping into that cage, and it's a respect thing for sure. There's definitely media behind it and things that you say and that you're not always proud of, but at the end of the day, it's a family.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's, I think, something that a lot of people really enjoy. That's why I hate to see people booing. That's one of the big things about my show, and I don't harp on it every show, but I always say, hey, not every fight's going to be super exciting. Not everyone's going to be, having a matchup that makes for, a lot of fireworks. But I always say that, with as hard as you guys work and as much as you're sacrificing and risking in there, to have someone, eating a messy hamburger or a big beer and a big basket of nachos booing, to me, I think that sucks. So I always say, let's have respect for these guys like Aaron Pico here that are really out there, putting it on the line. So I want you to know that's one thing that our show is really about.
No, that's good. That's really good to hear. Yeah, it's easy for somebody to sit there and eat a hot dog and drink a big beer and boo you and go and say certain things that you suck. But why don't you go in there and try it? Or just even try to do the training that goes. Don't even fight. Try to do the training. We'll see how long you last. But
exactly. It won't be long. Yep, without a doubt, Aaron. So let me ask you, is there anybody, and I know you really admire Antonio's style, but is there any other active fighters whose style you think yours might be similar to? And I know you'll be an original and you'll be all your own, but anyone that you've admired in MMA other than Antonio?
I really love GSP. I really like George St. Pierre. I think he's a true professional when it comes to his overall training, as far as where he goes for his training, the way he conducts himself. I've always really admired GSP, and I really like the I mean, he's had to bounce back from losses. He's bounced back from losses and won world championships, and just been an overall outstanding guy. So GSP for me is a big motivation in MMA for sure.
Absolutely, and we're birds of a feather, and I've always been a big GSP fan. He's a gentleman. He's a martial artist and a humble guy and someone that has respect and always shows it. I think he's amazing, and I think he'll definitely be coming back and doing something. I think even the 3.5 years off is he'll still be okay. It's unfortunate that it didn't work out with Bisping. But I think he'll do something. What would be really great is if he ended up over in Bellator, and I think there may be a chance possibly of that, and that would be pretty exciting, wouldn't it? Yeah,
that'd be actually really cool. I mean, to fight on a card with GSP would probably be a huge dream of mine. That'd be really exciting.
Yep,
I would definitely love it. So yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know what he has going on at the UFC, but I can't anywhere he fights, I'll definitely be watching, and I'm always trying to study and see the things that he does. But yeah, he's a great fighter that I enjoy watching very much.
Absolutely. And speaking of fighters, there are some pretty big fights coming up. Would you mind breaking down a few of them with me? We have a pros pick segment, and people seem to like that a lot on our show.
For sure, I'll do the best I can.
Excellent, appreciate it a lot. So how about the fight that is going to be headlining UFC 214 on the 29th of July at the Honda Center? John Bones Jones in the rematch with DC Daniel Cormier. I'd love to hear a little Aaron Pico breakdown on that.
Yeah, I think DC. I love DC. He's a great friend of mine, and DC has to come in shape. I haven't seen or been in his training camp, but I hope he's doing a lot of conditioning. I think if he does a lot of conditioning and closes the gap against John Jones, it doesn't let him basically breathe and let him use his range, I think he'll be good. Now, John Jones is on the outside picking him apart as far as using his range. I think John Jones, but I think his camp is going well. His conditioning is going good, so he needs to be on the inside. He needs to get on the inside, hit him to the body, and try to take him down.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's over. It's that's where John Jones is effective. He knows how to use his range. He throws those oblique kicks. So
yeah,
the height difference is big. So DC needs to definitely get on the inside and do what he does.
Yeah, that's very true, and I'd love to see a really good fight. I was always a big DC fan, and then we've actually had several people from Jackson Winklejohn on where John Jones trained, and we really like them a lot, and they say Jones is one of the nicest guys there despite all the bad press, and so it's I've been torn lately, you know what I mean? But I think DC will have more for Jones than he did in that first fight, and I think it's going to be pretty darn competitive. With whatever Jones does, and it could go either way. Jones having the time off may or may not affect him, and I think that could be a big part of it. But I think DC is going to fight tough, and it's going to be an exciting fight. I don't think there's any way that that's a boring fight. Wouldn't you agree?
No, I don't think so either. I think DC has a really good time. He has a really good. He has time now to evaluate what he did wrong in the first fight. He's had some wins under him as being champion. He's defended his belt, so I think he has a different outlook now. I mean, there's a difference between going there as a champion and not a champion. So I think he has something to prove as far as defending his belt, especially with people saying that he's he's not so-called the champ because of John Jones. So I think there's a different energy going into this fight. But like I said, I think if DC really gets on the inside, hits him to the body, roughs him up, he's going to win, and his conditioning is good, and I feel DC can do it.
Gotcha. Duly noted. Yeah, I'm on the fence, so can't predict that, but I appreciate you doing that, and I do think that there is indeed a chance. How about predicting the welterweight title? Our next guest after you is going to be Tyron Woodley, but Damian Maia has a lot of fans. What do you think? Love to hear your breakdown on that one.
Yeah, I think Tyron will win. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like Damian obviously has very good jiu-jitsu, and think Tyron, if he hits him, he'll go down. I think he needs to obviously work on his jiu-jitsu and be very, it's going to be hard to take Tyron down. He's a wrestler. He's a high caliber wrestler. So I don't think Damian just can go out there and take him down. I think he's going to be kind of concerned. It's a hard one because Tyron can hit you and he can put you to sleep. So I think Tyron is a little too much for him.
Yeah, I think so too.
Fight. Anything could happen.
Yeah, it's very true, and it's very true. And we're not trying to check back and call you back afterward and giving you a scorecard that you picked 2 right or 3 right, whatever. So whatever you pick, it's all good, And we know there's no guarantees, and you're not saying this is an absolute lock of a pick, and that's fine. But yeah, it's I kind of lean the same way. The thing with Maia is he can tend to catch people in a scramble, but it's going to be kind of hard to catch such a high level wrestler in a scramble unless somehow he can hit him really hard first, and Maia's not really known for that much power. So there's always a chance, and Maia is a tough guy. But, yeah, he's in tough. It's going to be interesting to see, though, how that fight plays out. And do you think Tyron will want to keep that on his feet pretty much the whole time, or do you think he might shoot for some takedowns?
I think he should keep it on. I think he should keep it on his feet. If I was him, I mean, fill it out, but Tyron is he looks like a big brick house, so it's going to be kind of hard to move him. I feel he can do what he wants to do. Just, even if he does get a takedown, he's aware. He knows how to do. He knows jiu-jitsu. So stay in good position. If you feel that you're in danger, then you're a professional. You can get up and do what he needs to do. So I don't think don't deviate from what you do is as far as taking guys down, take them down. But if you feel that something's going wrong, just know the danger zone. I would say, if you feel the takedown's there, take it. Know the danger zone. If you need to get back up, get back up. But ultimately, look for that power on his feet. He's knocked guys out, and don't deviate from what you know.
That makes sense. And what do you think about the fact that a lot of people say if you're against a really good jiu-jitsu guy, don't take him down early when you're both dry. Take him down after maybe a round or a couple, a round and a half when you guys are sweated up a little bit. There is validity to that, right? For
sure. I think so. I think when the sweat and then obviously there's Vaseline from your face and I think that's a good strategy. I mean, against a guy that gets a really good, arm bar or something like that, you have a chance of slipping out of there rather than being dry and just, not being able to do much. So, I think there's some sense into it.
Makes sense.
But if there's a takedown and it's wide open and you feel that your jiu-jitsu is pretty good, then take him down. Just like I said, just know the danger zone, know what you need to do. If you're in bad position, get back up if you need to. So
absolutely, just recognize if you're in danger at all, and get out of danger. Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. How about Cowboy Donald Cerrone against Ruthless Robbie Lawler? That's going to be a hell of an exciting fight, isn't it?
Oh man, I don't even know where to begin on that one.
We'll start wherever you want. Love to hear your thoughts.
Well, I think Robbie's been off for a little bit, right?
Yeah, I think since he lost by that quick knockout to Tyron, it's been over a year, maybe a year and a half even, I think.
Yeah, we're going to have to see, obviously the layoff, and some people adjust to the layoffs and some people don't quite. It doesn't work in their favor as far as Cowboy Cerrone. He's been fighting. He's getting well adjusted to the new weight. So I believe the favor's in Cowboy. I think he's really good at 170. He feels good. He's not cutting a lot of weight. He's obviously constantly fighting, so he's always staying crisp. So I feel it's going to be I think it's going to be a 5-round war for Cowboy.
Makes sense. And obviously Lawler has the power, but Cowboy I think has the more diverse striking attack. Do you expect that Lawler will try to take it to the ground at all, or no?
I think so. I would, if I was Lawler, I would try to not sit there and exchange with Cowboy, because Cowboy's crazy. I mean, they're both crazy, but Cowboy is he's very good with those, especially with those kicks and his long arms and stuff. So I think the fight is in his favor if it's on the feet. Now I think if Lawler takes him down, it's in his favor. So if I was Lawler, I'd be definitely looking for the takedown, and Cowboy, keep him on the outside. Use your reach, use your kicks, and keep the fight standing.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting that's a little bit different than what we've seen in both of those guys' careers? Most of the time, both of those guys have been on a winning streak. And even though Lawler fought at 185 in different organizations and had some losses, but in this situation, you have Lawler coming off getting KO'd with that one punch by Woodley, and there's no shame in that. Woodley has that much power, could probably KO heavyweights, most people feel. But Lawler's coming off of that, and then Cowboy's coming off a fight that he actually was doing well in against Jorge Masvidal, but then just kind of started to get dismantled and taken apart. So it's kind of interesting because they're both guys that usually are 100% confident in their chins and really going for it, but they're both coming off being stopped. Do you think...
I forgot about that. I totally forgot about the Masvidal fight. I don't know what I was thinking.
No, that's all right. Do you think, being that they're such veterans, that won't change their style at all, even though their chins were just both checked? Or do you think that they're going to have to be a little bit concerned or more cautious in this fight? It wouldn't really even be their style, but what do you think as a professional fighter?
I don't think so. I think, both of them have known what it's felt like to get knocked out and had to come back and win fights, and it's been like a roller coaster for them, especially in the MMA game. Is like, if you want to survive in this game, you're going to definitely take some losses, and you're going to probably be knocked out or choked out. But they've been there before. They're professionals. Both of them have been and probably felt really crappy after some losses, but they found ways to get back and win fights. So I don't think their mindset is a little changed. They're both tough guys. They know what they need to do, and they're going to do it. I think they're going to put on a really great show for the fans. And but I think getting clipped is just all part of the sport.
Yeah.
A lot of people, MMA is different. You get clipped and you're rocked. Well, you don't get no standing 8 count, you get hit, or standing 10 count or whatever.
Yeah.
You don't get no time to recover. So it's different. But
yeah, you can lose. People can lose, and because it's not just fighting someone that you can easily win. It's serious matchups, and right. That's why in boxing, so many guys are 32-0, and in MMA, most guys are like maybe 15-3 or 4. But it equals to the same thing really, because the level of competition in MMA is better. There really aren't so many matchups where someone is just being used as a complete stepping stone. So absolutely, you have your wins and losses, and these guys are really seasoned. I think it's going to be an amazing fight, and I'll be at that fight. Are you familiar with the women at all? Cyborg against Tonya Evinger.
I'm not. I know Cyborg, of course, but I know like Joanna, Cyborg,
right?
Misha Tate,
right.
Holly, the big girls and things like that. But I'm not like whenever Joanna fights, I'm always watching her. She's really good. But I think Cyborg is gonna. She's on a mission. She's ready to win a world title, so she's gonna do it. I believe. I have confidence in her. I've seen her train actually, and she goes hard. She does. She takes it serious. She's there. She puts in a lot of work, does what she needs to do, and is a true professional. And she's a woman on a mission, and I think she's going to get it done.
Yeah, you could be right. Now, we've had Tonya Evinger, who is the best wrestler Cyborg will have faced, on our show a couple times, and she's the underdog, and we like her a lot. So we're hoping for her, but Cyborg's a tough athlete too, and I've never been a hater on Cyborg, so it should be a good fight. I think Tonya Evinger as the upset. Look out for a surprise, though, because Tonya will be by far the best wrestler Cyborg will have fought. But let's jump on to one last fight that I think you'll have an opinion on. How about Chris Weidman against Kelvin Gastelum coming up this Saturday?
Oh yeah, that's a tough one too. I think. Oh man, I think.
I mean, you got Weidman.
Like familiar, with Gastelum, I feel kind of bad saying it.
That's okay. No, not at all. You're doing your own training. Well, let me give you some information on him. Weidman, is a tall wrestler. I think he was, I don't know if he was national champion, but I think he was All-American 3 or 4 times at Hofstra. A really good fighter. He beat Anderson Silva. He's had a few losses, but some of them were close. And he's not really getting smashed, but he's just had a couple losses. And his striking isn't great, but he's got a lot of length, and his jiu-jitsu is really good, and his wrestling is really good. And then Gastelum has been on a winning streak coming up from 170. This will be, I think, his 2nd or 3rd fight. And he's a lot shorter. He's I think 4 inches shorter or 5 inches shorter than Weidman, but his striking is better than Weidman's. So how does that match up? I guess Weidman probably needs to get him to the ground. Is pretty much how that's going to go for Weidman to win. Would you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think Weidman definitely would have to get him to the ground, and Weidman's pretty good at jiu-jitsu out here.
Yes,
he's really, he's so. Yeah, if I was Weidman, I'd definitely get him to the ground. I know that Gastelum is training with Kings now, right? Kings MMA.
I believe so.
Yeah, so I think he's probably putting a whole emphasis on his striking. I know Kings has some. Cordero's a good striking coach. So
absolutely, Rafael Cordero. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think.
He'll be tough.
Gastelum's probably going to be trying to keep it on his feet. But if I was Weidman, I would definitely have to, take him down, get him tired, keep beating him up on the ground, and because he's good at jiu-jitsu. That's what I've heard a lot of people say that he's no joke when it comes to jiu-jitsu. So
absolutely.
He probably has no fear of taking him down. So that's probably his game plan.
Yeah, I would think so. Now, here's something not a lot of people have asked. Is it harder to take down a fighter substantially shorter than you or substantially taller than you? Would you say?
For me, it was always taking somebody down smaller for me. I know in wrestling is from when guys get in their stance, and the guys that were smaller than
short
and stocky, those were always the guys that gave me the most difficult time as far as trying to get underneath them to get your shots going. But the taller guys, I actually, I handle pretty good. I could get to my shots a lot better. I have a bigger gap to get underneath them. But the smaller guys for me was always the toughest. So yeah, that's my opinion on that.
That's good insight, too. So that means it really could be tough for Weidman, because with Gastelum, the better striker, and also so much shorter and more compact, the lower center of gravity, it could be hard for Weidman to get in and take him down. But Weidman's such a tough guy. He really is, and he wants to win so bad that I think he's going to be fighting hard. Not that Gastelum doesn't, but, that's going to be a really amazing fight. I would say that's going to be a great card. You going to that yourself, the Honda Center on the 29th?
I don't think so. I think I'll probably just hang out with the family, barbecue, and watch it here. It's always nice to watch it on the big screen.
It is, absolutely. Now, it sounds like a good time. Well, hey, I really want to thank you for coming on, Aaron. It's been great chatting with you, man. You're a good guy. You've got a lot of maturity for 20 years old and a great attitude, and I think you're at the right place at Team Body Shop with Antonio McKee and AJ and all the guys there, Joey Taylor, Baby Slice, Brendan Halsey. I think you guys are all going to rock, and I'll be cheering for you for sure, and we'll definitely stay in touch, okay?
For sure, Colin. My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. You have a great evening.
You too. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. So that was Mr. Aaron Pico. What an amazing guy, 20 years old, really, really friendly, great positive attitude. He did have that one loss against a very tough opponent in Bellator, but I honestly do believe he'll be coming back, and he really could be a superstar. He's in such a great place with Antonio McKee coaching him, and so got a lot of belief in Aaron Pico, and I think you'll be hearing some great things about him. So what I think we're going to do, we have our next guest coming, though, in about 10 or 12 minutes, and I want to just go over a couple things here really quick, and then we'll take a quick break and come back. But I want to say that there are so many great fights coming up, and I want you guys to remember, other than UFC, there is Bellator. Most of you guys have heard of Bellator, but if you haven't, Bellator is probably the second largest organization out there right now. You can see their fights primarily for free on Spike TV and on Spike.com. They have their fight cards on Fridays, and I think they're on for maybe 4 months and then maybe a break for a month or two. So they're on every week, though, for a few months, and it's on a Friday. On the West Coast where I am, it's on a tape delay starting at 9 p.m. If you're on the East Coast or Midwest, I think you can catch it live starting at 6 p.m. Scott Coker, who ran Strikeforce and really made it a huge organization with some of the best fighters ever in it, and then who also helped run the UFC for a few years, is in charge over there, and they've got a really great show. They had Jimmy Smith as the commentator, one of the commentators, and they actually have added Mike Goldberg. Yep, they got Goldie, for those of you who don't know, from the UFC, and they also got Mauro Ranallo. So they've got an amazing commentating team there with Mauro Ranallo, Mike Goldberg, and Jimmy Smith. And so you guys got to check out Bellator. They're coming up. A lot of people have left the UFC actually of their own accord. You can wear your sponsors' shirts and shorts and stuff like that in Bellator, so perhaps there's more money that way, and fighters really need to be taken care of. So not slamming UFC, but Bellator is a really great entity that is making a lot of noise. And also the Professional Fighters League is going to be coming up next week. We're going to have Sugar Ray Sefo, who you guys know as a world champion kickboxer, K1 champion, did fight MMA toward the end of his career in his late 30s, so he knows what it's about, and was also the president and the face of the World Series of Fighting, which produced Marlon Moraes and Justin Gaethje. And so really a guy who knows his MMA and knows quality, and is now running things at the Professional Fighters League. A really interesting format they have there at the PFL. It's going to be a league, like a sports league, where you fight, and then you get to if you win, you go to a playoff round, and you can win a lot of money. They're really promising in writing to take care of their fighters. Everyone gets 3 fights a year minimum, and that's during the regular season. If you win a few fights and get to the playoff season, you're getting even more fights. And I also remember reading that you get a paycheck every month there as well for being part of the team. So we're going to learn a lot of the details from Sugar Ray Sefo himself, and really excited to see what's going on and what will be happening with upcoming events. John Fitch won the main event of their first event, and John Fitch is such an amazing guy for so many years, still looks amazing, still has all those skills, and tough and gritty as it gets. So we'll be looking forward to that, and a lot of other great things coming on too. UFC with great cards as well, and Invicta also, LFA, so many. Anyway, we are going to take a quick commercial break and come back with our next guest. Want to thank Fuji Sports, cross-trained MMA fighter, combatpress.com. We'll be right back after these messages.
Founded in 1969, Fuji Sports is your #1 source for gis and grappling gear, specializing in superb customer service and high-quality judo and jiu-jitsu uniforms and competitive prices. Fuji Sports is a proud manufacturing partner with many established organizations throughout the world, and is also a proud sponsor of U.S. Olympians, BJJ World Champions, and MMA superstars. Fuji Sports offers gis, rash guards, t-shirts, backpacks, shorts, gloves, and more. Visit fujisports.com to buy or customize your own gear today.
Get ready for FanFlow, the ultimate way to experience live music. With FanFlow, you become a part of the show. Connect and share with fellow fans who love the music as much as you. Control what you hear, control what you see, and record it so you can relive those amazing performances wherever and whenever you want. Before the show, you decide the playlist and interact with the venue. During the show, you share your experience, buy what you're hearing, and hear what you want. FanFlow gives you the superpowers you wish you could have at a live performance, so you become a part of the experience and connect with your favorite performers.
Stay turned up with a young fly nigga from the west side. Oh yeah. Lil' mama with a bad little tune from the south side. Oh yeah. Hey, back it up, drop it down. Say she wanna wear my crown. First I gotta take it down. Drive that shit into the ground.
Dick gang so good, she talk crazy to me. She said, nigga, you could try, but ain't no leaving me. Hold up, big deal, baby, yeah, I give her the D. When I put it in the stump, she like, oh, you're killing me. If I go to jail, mama gon' pay the bill. Sagas game so good, I should put it for sale. I'ma feed you to my bedroom, that's the beast to me. The mother niggas on the jack
player, baby, I ain't mad shit. You can ride with a nigga down the coast, though, but please don't stuff both hoes. She on that Montana, that's the coke boy. She said it makes the demons come out. She gets freakier with her mouth. She likes deep throated with no doubt. Hey, she back on the shift, singing like whips. I bust in her mouth, now she gurgling shit. I'm a pimp by blood, not coincidence. I'm like a bad bitch, blindfold, trust a pimp. I'm leaning to the side, looking for a bad bitch to find. My eyes on the prize, I'm wildin' tonight. Don't try to stop me now, my grind is on the rise. Your bitch is on the side, and I'm sliding her tonight. I'm sliding her tonight. Ooh, wow.
Stay turned up with a young fly nigga from the west side. Oh yeah. Lil' mama with a bad little tune from the south side. Oh yeah. Hey, back it up, drop it down. Say she wanna wear my crown. First I gotta take it down. Drive that shit into the ground.
Don't be acting so cool like you that wine. You fine, yeah you fine, and yeah I know that your shit tight. Damn right, but don't be acting so cool like you that wine. Cool like you that wine. Outside, late night, I know you're shining up moonlight. Damn right, I wanna know what you look like. Late night, I'm trying to see what you taste like. Damn right. Let a nigga holla at you right. Show you some find the things in life. You know I'ma do you fucking right.
Yeah.
Give it to you, it ain't giving
Look, I wanna get down with your hello girl. Little birdie told me you a bad little girl. Expensive taste, fine wine and pearls, but you best believe I'm finna rock that world. Skinny nigga from the west side, couple bitches by the beach side. Blunt lit by the moonlight. Finna give it to you all night. Yeah.
Cool like, don't be acting so cool like you that wine. Don't be acting so cool like you that wine.
Midnight, green light, get the sheets to the sunlight. Fun night, lock it up so we play fight. We don't rest till the daytime, playtime. Hey.
Shorty on that drain, attitude on real stain. He take it to the bank, he don't give you what you like.
I know what you like, I know you can write like bite. You fuck with me, fuck the hype, give it to you like it's mine, yeah.
And we both like designer. Best friend go reminder. Lost your mind on the island. Did you ever go find her? Okay. Ever had a nigga shoot straight? Did you own this new slate? Little baby on the new way. Okay. Sipping wine with the Kool-Aid. Let's get it.
Let a nigga holla at you right. Show you some find the things in life. You know I'ma do you fucking right. Give it to you, it ain't giving mine. You fine, yeah you fine, and yeah I know that your shit tight. Damn right, but don't be acting so cool like you that wine. Cool like you that wine. You fine, yeah you fine, and yeah I know that your shit tight. Damn right, but don't be acting so cool like you that wine. Cool like you that wine.
Too handsome. He's too handsome for Hollywood. He's too sexy. He's too sexy for his own good. This is the King of Connecticut, Matt Granahan, host of The King's Court, telling you to go to the Amazon Kindle store and pick up a copy of my new book, Too Handsome for Hollywood. The world according to the suntan Superman, with a foreword by the UFC Hall of Famer Dan the Beast Severn. He's too handsome. He's too handsome for Hollywood. He's too sexy. He's too sexy for his own good. Yeah. $9.99. Pick it up today. Too Handsome for Hollywood. The Amazon Kindle store. You'll be glad you did.
Hi, my name is David Fimbras with Boulevard Moving. We're a 5-star moving company here in Southern California with offices in Arizona and Nevada. We cover local, long-distance moving and your full storage needs.
Why choose Boulevard Moving? Well, that's simple. We offer 5-star ratings in local directories, information and guidance throughout the process, certified moving consultants, expert packers, and movers. 24/7 availability for moving and packing services. Highly recommended among the area's most prestigious realtors and estate managers. Our mission is to deliver superior customer service and to provide the highest level of quality workmanship for the physical movement of goods. We strive to maintain a level of communication that eliminates the stress and inherent concern people have when hiring a moving service, be it residential or commercial. Call us today at 844-274-0500 or visit www.boulevardmoving.com.
Founded in 1969, Fuji Sports is your #1 source for gis and grappling gear, specializing in superb customer service and high-quality judo and jiu-jitsu uniforms at competitive prices. Fuji Sports is a proud manufacturing partner with many established organizations throughout the world, and is also a proud sponsor of U.S. Olympians, BJJ World Champions, and MMA Superstars. Fuji Sports offers gis, rash guards, t-shirts, backpacks, shorts, gloves, and more. Visit fujisports.com to buy or customize your own gear today.
Get ready for FanFlow, the ultimate way to experience live music. With FanFlow, you become a part of the show. Connect and share with fellow fans who love the music as much as you. Control what you hear, control what you see, and record it so you can relive those amazing performances wherever and whenever you want. Before the show, you decide the playlist and interact with the venue. During the show, you share your experience, buy what you're hearing, and hear what you want. FanFlow gives you the superpowers you wish you could have at a live performance so you become a part of the experience and connect with your favorite performers.
up with a young fly nigga from the west side. Oh yeah. Lil' mama with a bad little tune from the south side. Hey, back it up, drop it down. Say she wanna wear my crown. First I gotta take it down. Drive that shit into the ground.
Did game so good, she talk crazy to me. She said, nigga, you could try, but ain't no leaving me. Hold up, big deal, baby, yeah, I give her the D. When I put it in the stump, she like, oh, you're killing me. If I go to jail, mama gon' pay the bill. Sagas game so good, I should put it for sale. I'ma feed you to my bedroom, that's the beast to me. The mother niggas on the jack, but she on me. Champagne on chill. D baby, I'm drunk. Lil' mama, what's the deal? Pussy wet like a wheel. Beat it up, Holyfield. Smoking cookies, Mrs. Phil. Grown man in the field. Baby girl, what's the deal?
Stay turned up with a young fly nigga from the west side. Oh yeah. Lil' mama with a bad little tune from the south side. Hey, back it up, drop it down. Say she wanna wear my crown. First I gotta take it down. Drive that shit into the ground.
I drag it through the dirt like I'm carrying it. I'm a player, baby, I ain't man shit. You can ride with a nigga down the coast, though, but please don't stuff both hoes. She on that Montana, that's the coke boy. She said it makes the demons come out. She gets freakier with her mouth. She likes deep throated with no doubt. Hey, she back on the shift, stinging like whips. I bust in her mouth, now she gurgling shit. I'm a pimp by blood, not coincidence. I'm like a bad bitch, blindfold, trust and pimp. I'm leaning to the side, looking for a bad bitch to find. My eyes on the prize, I'm wildin' tonight. Don't try to stop me now. My grind is on the rise. Your bitch is on the side. And I'm sliding her tonight. I'm sliding her tonight. Ooh. Wow.
Stay turned up with a young fly nigga from the west side. Oh yeah. Lil' mama with a bad little tune from the south side. Hey, back it up, drop it down. Say she wanna wear my crown. First I gotta take it down. Drive that shit into the ground.
Welcome back to the MMA Power Hour Super Session. So glad you guys stayed with us. Really excited to have not only our next guest, but my co-host of the MMA Power Super Sessions with us. And so please welcome former champion and legendary MMA fighter and coach, Mr. Antonio McKee. Welcome to the show, Antonio.
How you doing? Can you see me? Do I look good?
Yep, you look great, as always. Can you hear us well?
All right.
Excellent.
Yeah, you guys sound good.
Good. Okay, so we know we're working on the next guest, and people have seen, and we have let everyone know that we are having the UFC welterweight champ Tyron Woodley on, and he is doing everything he can to be able to get the this Skype connection going with us. So in the meanwhile, we can definitely talk to Antonio, and then we will be having Tyron on any minute, and we'll be doing a great interview with the champ. So in the meantime, how's everything going with you today, Antonio? You doing the usual training of all your guys, or is this a day off, or is there ever a day off? Antonio, can you hear me?
No, there's never a day off. The day, yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Never a day off.
There's never a day off except for when we're traveling and I get to sleep while they're resting, getting ready to fight.
Yep, absolutely. And while we're waiting for Tyron, is there an opponent name?
Are you guys hearing me fine?
Yeah, I'm hearing you. Can you hear me okay? It's looking like, is there some kind of a delay?
Yeah, you're breaking up really bad. Is that because the internet connection? I don't know what's going on. Tyron's having problems too, so I don't know.
Yeah, we're looking tight over here. My producer says everything in all our levels look great. So
yeah, I think there's something wrong.
Yeah, I think
we're having difficulties connecting right now.
Yeah, I think that it's possible your connection to where you are in the car might be a little bit weak. You may not have a lot of power bars, because it does appear to be a weak Skype connection, Antonio. Anyway, so basically, I think that we're going to see what we can do there, and make sure we get our co-host back. But yeah, that's a weak connection, Antonio. We want to try to see if we can get you back. Maybe I can make sure that see if my producer can try to connect with him, possibly to see what can be done on that. And let me pass this over to my producer. So in the meantime, we're going to do a great chat with Antonio and with Tyron Woodley coming up in the next few minutes. Thank you so much. And we do have Tyron. Okay, so we do have Tyron Woodley, and so we want to be able to get Antonio as well. Okay, and so are we going to try to do that connection right now, Adam? Okay, Tyron, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Excellent. Hey, and there we're going to bring in Antonio. Let's see if we can bring in Antonio McKee. So we've got the champ, Tyron Woodley. Appreciate you being here. We're about to get Antonio back, and so let me ask my producer: are we looking good with Antonio, or is there a little delay on that again? Let's see. Antonio, are you there? Okay, he's not there. All right, Tyron, we had him for a few minutes. And we got you. We're doing everything we can to bring back Antonio. He was in a car and had a little bit of a problem, but he is the co-host of the show. And as he was saying, the first thing we were going to do is introduce you and throw it over to Antonio to get started with the good questions. So I apologize that we might have a few minute delay on that, but I really want to thank you so much for being on the show. How's everything going?
Everything's going well, my man.
Good. I really appreciate it. So my name's Colin Crandall, the MMA Power Hour. Big fan for quite a while, and I really look forward to this.
Oh, I appreciate the support.
Not a problem. Not a problem. You deserve it. You're a hardworking guy, and absolutely happy to see you keep on winning. And I know you got a very interesting fight coming up here, and I know Antonio has a bunch of great questions. As soon as we bring him in, we'll let him start talking. But what do you think of this matchup with Maia? He's got an interesting style. I think I see Antonio. Antonio, is that you?
Yes, sir. How you guys doing?
Doing
What's
very
up,
well.
T?
What's up, my man? How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. Happy to see you, brother.
Good to see you as well.
Excellent. So we are going to throw it over to Antonio and start talking to the champ, and let's get rocking and rolling. You have it, and take it away, Antonio McKee.
Okay. Hey, Tyron, you look real good right now. How you doing?
Hey, man, I feel real good, man. Weight's good. Conditioning's good. All is well, man. I can't complain.
Okay, well, I got a couple questions. First off, congratulations on the champ. I told you a year ago you'd be the champ. I think maybe that was 2 years ago. I said within the next year or two, Tyron Woodley would be the UFC champ. And once again, you are the champ. I got a question. A lot of people don't know. How did you get your name, the chosen one? Because I thought I was the chosen one too.
I just feel like, a lot of the adversity I've been through in life, growing up, gang banging, and just, growing up in Ferguson and just having a house full of people, 13 people in a house that, all the adversity I went through in life, that this sport was kind of really developed for me. I was able to use some of that pain and use some of the wrestling or some of the street fighting or whatever that life threw at me. I can actually use those things in the octagon. So that's kind of why I feel like I was a chosen one, and God kind of chose me to go out there and be a positive light and an inspiration to a lot of people.
Okay. So when you were taking this journey to become the UFC champ, did you see it to be an easy journey, or did you just know in your heart that this is what it was going to be?
I always knew I was going to be the champion. It's just too hard of a sport to be involved with, not to want to be the champion. You put too much time in there, all the injuries that come in training, and just it's so much into this sport, as you know from experience, that it's kind of hard not to want to be the champion when you're training so hard. So for me, it did not come fast. You know, it took a long time. I had some bumps in the road. I had some losses. I had some injuries. And there's a lot of opportunities to, you know, be like, hey, man, I'm done. I'm going to go do something in business. I'm going to go do something different. But it was just something to tell me just to hold on a little bit longer, just keep on pushing. You closer than what you think to getting that belt. And it didn't look like it was going to happen for a while. And I was just blessed to not give up. And, you know, now it's here.
Okay, so for other fighters, would you put more toward spirituality, or would you put more toward hard work, or how would you explain that to somebody that's not a God-fearing man versus a person that is a God-fearing man? How do you balance those?
You know, I never try to tell someone what their drive is. Some people are just crazy and love to actually fight. I would say that I fought enough in my life that I don't really even like to fight. I like to compete. And for myself personally, I feel like the spiritual aspect of my life and the reason why I fight and the things that I've gone through has been, you know, my secret weapon. You know, whether it's been good, bad, ugly, I feel like God has always had my back. No matter what I do, I don't think you can do enough to get God's grace and mercy. He just kind of gives it to you as he feels, and I don't think you can do anything to get rid of it. So with that said, I just know God has me on this journey for a reason. He wants me to reach out, and he wants me to you know, fulfill a purpose. And I feel like for me, that's been everything.
Okay, that's good. So how do you feel right now as far as getting prepared for the fight? How do you feel the training is different for this fight than it was from the last fight?
Good question.
You know, I'm the only champion in the UFC that has two specialists in their weight class. You know, it was the Royce Gracie, then he went out, then it was just the wrestler, then they went out. You know, I'm the only one that still has the guy that's pretty much just a grappler, or Wonder Boy was just a point fighter. And those guys found a way to beat different matchups, and they were able to survive. And they're like the last of the Mohegans. So it's not the sexiest training camp. It's not the funnest, you know, as far as defending shots, defending striking, putting it all together and really becoming that freestyle fighter. This person is going to come out here, try to take me down, try to get me to the ground, try to take my back, look for submissions, or look to just control position long enough to burn the clock. So it's not, you know, like I said, it's not the most attractive training camp. You know, it's a lot of conditioning, a lot of hard work, and just put myself in a position where, you know, I got to stop what he's doing and knock his butt out.
Okay, yeah. I've always given a lot of credit, and I know there's a lot of critics that say a lot of things that I personally don't agree with being a fighter. But coming from where I came from and then watching you evolve as a wrestler, if you had to coach somebody, how would you train them to be a better MMA fighter for the fans? Because I see a lot of people talking. I think you personally are a smart fighter. You don't take a lot of damage. I'm impressed with your style of fighting. How would you deal with the people that are not wrestlers?
Yeah.
That want to say bad things about your style?
Well, you got to I don't do a lot of wrestling in fights. You know, I use wrestling as kind of something that I put in my back pocket. Out of my 17 victories, I got 9 finishes. You know, I came into the sport 7-0 as an amateur were all finishes by submission. So I've really shown that I can be everything. And just because you don't get a finish, you don't knock somebody out, don't mean you're not trying. I knocked Wonder Boy's little nugget off his head 1,000,000 times. I, you know, had the guillotine choke on him super tight. He didn't tap out. Some guys just don't want to be finished. Some guys just won't quit. And when you get to the higher level of competition, guys are at that level for a reason. So, you know, I really thrive and I really, you know, pride myself on going out there, identifying what my opponent does well, and not allowing him to do that against me. Robbie Lawler wasn't able to be the brawler against me. Carlos Condit wasn't this dynamic striker that he's always been. Stephen Thompson wasn't this crazy counter striker that he was able to be. And Damian Maia's not getting on my back and going to be this Brazilian jiu-jitsu master. You know, I take their tools, take it away from them, leave them naked, and I make them deal with my speed, my power, athleticism, and just really I'm always trying to be a step ahead in chess. I'm always trying to be one move ahead, and they're going to have to deal with that.
Good statement. And Tyron, it looks like we had a little bit of problem with Antonio just now. Hopefully we'll jump back. But in the meantime, I'll jump in. He was going to have me jump in a couple times here. So let me ask you, does this matchup with a pure jiu-jitsu guy present anything that makes you uncomfortable, being that this guy's so high level, or do you normally train with high level jiu-jitsu guys, or have you brought in even more of that in this camp?
You know, I got a lot of high level jiu-jitsu guys. I mean, it's the difference between being a black belt and the world being black belts. Jakal, Shoeface, Ben Askren, who's an Olympian wrestler.
Yes.
If anybody who can mimic that pressure, consistent, coming forward, offensively trying to get my leg, I feel like I've brought the right people in to do it. I usually, I'll spend a fortune on training partners and training camps and things like that to make sure I get what I need. There's no point in cutting corners when the goal is to keep the belt. So with that said, I've competed against guys that were quote-unquote high level. If you think about Andre Galval,
right.
I did that training camp with Antonio McKee, and we negated everything that he would do to me. At that time, he was pound for pound maybe one of the best grapplers on the planet. And he couldn't get my legs. He couldn't get close to me. And what he got was straight punches. He got knocked out. I've also competed against Jake Shields, who dominated Damian Maia in the grappling world, and he wasn't able to take me down one time. Though I came up short in that fight, he was 0 for 18 in takedown attempts, and I think he's a little bit more aggressive with the takedowns than even Damian Maia will be. So I'm not discrediting him at all, but it's not a new style that I've never seen before.
Absolutely, and I actually feel that Jake Shields and Damian Maia are quite similar in their styles, and so I do think that Jake Shields fight absolutely was a good preparation, and I think you're a much more advanced and a superior version of what you were in that fight. So I think that will be. Do you think that fight this fight may look similar to that fight with you doing a lot better? Probably that's not what you're wanting it to be, but I think if you can't knock out Damian, might that fight look similar to the Jake Shields fights with you just being more active and busy and winning the fight?
Yeah, I definitely don't want to fight the way I did the last time because, nobody wanted to see that mess. I don't even want to. I've never even went back and watched the full fight again.
Right.
But just in general, the takedown defense and just sometimes you just gotta just deny the thought of him getting me down. You will not take me down this fight.
Yeah.
And I think we got that mentality. I need to keep that mentality, but also look for ways to throw strikes, land my combinations, and really put him in a desperation mode where now he's diving in and desperately trying to get the takedown, and every time he come in, he getting some hands.
Right, absolutely. I like that. One of the things Antonio told me was, with all the years Antonio had in the game, which is a lot of years, as you know, and I know he's someone that you respect a lot, he said that with all the years he had in the game, it got to the point where he wasn't even worried about taking someone down. Now, maybe he didn't fight someone quite, like a Damian Maia or a Shields, although I know he fought some good jiu-jitsu guys, but he felt he loved to take people down, and he was going to do that because he wasn't even worried about jiu-jitsu. Now, a lot of people are saying that if you try to do that in the case with Maia, that's just going to be giving him the only chance he has. But I would imagine that's something that if it presents itself, we might see some takedowns, although clearly the game plan probably would be to knock him out, right?
It depends on who the fighter is. Antonio McKee went 7 years without losing for a reason.
Yep.
He was taking guys down. He had a very, very good inside control in their guard. He landed really heavy elbows, and he has one of the strongest grips I've ever experienced a man have.
Yep. So
I think with that grip strength, just knowledge of where he was going to go, how he can hurt somebody badly, whether it's elbow into the face or elbow into the stomach or, whatever he did, he was just comfortable scrambling and comfortable that nobody's going to beat me in a scramble. So if I can control your hips and I can negate your jiu-jitsu and I can stop you from, submitting me, then I don't have any fear. You look at Frankie Edgar, he's the same way.
Right.
He fought Charlie Oliveira, he jumped into his guard, with no problem. You think about, guys like Chris Weidman. Chris Weidman fought Damian Maia. He was taking him down, going for guillotine chokes, trying to, submit him.
Right.
So I think it's just the comfort level of the fighter. But me personally, I feel like it's so many other advantages I have in this fight. Could I try to grapple with him and find success there? Yes. But at the end of the day, does it make sense for me to get there? We're going to prepare. When I say we, everybody say we. I'm the only one that's going to be in there. The coaches have given me the tools that if I get there, to get myself out of that situation, disengage, create space, get back to the feet. But am I just going to jump into his half guard and put him in a position where, you know, he's had a lot of success? No.
Right. That makes sense. And I think we have Antonio McKee back. Can you hear me, Antonio?
Yes, I'm back, man. I don't know what's going on over here. The aliens are taking over the world.
I hear it. I know that feeling. That's the modern technology. Well, we just did some great chatting with Tyrone, but I want you to jump back in with some more of the questions you had for the champ.
Right. You know, one of the questions I want to talk about is race. And Tyrone, you can say you don't want to answer it because I understand some of the things you can't say when you're under contract, and then also you can't talk about your boss. But I've noticed a big difference in the price and what black fighters are making versus the white fighters that are making, and also how we're treated. I see a big difference. I've been there on the scene. People can say what they want, but I've actually been there. I've saw it. I've watched you go through some things. I've watched Rampage. I've watched Congo. I've watched a lot of fighters that are of color go through a struggle. Do you think that there is a difference in the way we're treated versus the way the other people are treated in the sport?
I think in general, overall, just sometimes it's not even racism. Sometimes it's just insensitivity. People just are insensitive that, hey, race in sport exists, or this person might have experienced this in their life. If it's not their reality, they haven't experienced it. They haven't never had someone treat them differently because of their color of their skin. They just disregard that the fact that it even happens. And, you know, I had some concerns, and I felt like, you know, as a fighter, being versed in so many different areas, acting, being on the Fox desk, and doing all these different things by myself, being marketable, fighting a certain way, looking a certain way, that I felt like I wasn't getting the push that I deserve. I felt like, you know, I was looking at situations like you had went 7 years without losing a fight, lose one fight, and then I watched another fighter, you know, Clay Guida or Keith Jardine, or, you know, fighters lose 3, 4, 5, 6 fights in a row, and then they still are on the UFC roster, and I had an issue with that, and I brought that up to him. Buddy of mine, Gerald Harris, had just, you know, won every fight except one fight on the Ultimate Fighter show and didn't get picked back up. Won 6 fights after that, got picked up, won 2 performance bonuses, and lose a close split decision, and then he was released from the contract. Even Lorenz Larkin, who's a phenomenal striker, phenomenal fighter, you know, has some very close fights, which I believe he won. So it was a theme, and it was a pattern that I saw, and I brought it to their attention. And then they said, well, we don't see how that's, that's an actual fact. Explain to us. And I said, do you really want me to explain to you? And then I did that. And I gave examples, and I gave what sport is your pound-for-pound best fighter in the world paid less than a fighter that just got the belt? Do you think Kobe Bryant or LeBron James or Kevin Durant or any of those high-level players are going to get paid less because they don't talk crap, they don't wear a suit, and they don't, act like a moron? No, they're going to get paid because of what they do and how they do it. It's not his fault that Demetrius Johnson is the most dominant in the sport and that you made an entire reality series about his weight class and he's still walking through everybody. That's not his fault. So when I made that comment to them, they said, you know what, Tyron, I see where you're coming from. I feel like, there's some merit behind that. What can we do? How can we do better? What changes can we make? And that's that's the only reason why I bring stuff up. It's to impact the change. So if my kids come and they want to fight, just like your son AJ's fighting, you want him to have a different experience than you did. Right. You want his way to be a little bit easier. You don't want to have him. It's already a hard enough sport. It's not like it's baseball or basketball. We got 50 to 100 opportunities a year to compete. You might have 2, 3, maybe 4 if you're lucky times to compete a year. So it's a lot more riding. There's a lot more pressure on each competition. And you lose, man, you get thrown back to the back of the bus real quick. So with that said, they've started making those adjustments. They started marketing me in a different way. They started collaborating. They started to ask, hey, what do you got going on? I see you collaborating with this guy. Can we bring you out to this event? So I can honestly say, under the new umbrella with WME, that they have at least addressed my concerns, and they've at least made the attempt to try to make a difference and change the way that they're marketing me.
Right. Okay. Well, very, very well said. I know that was one of the things that I was struggling with in this sport. Me being a manager, a trainer, a fighter, and also a promoter, I've had people call and say, well, we want a black guy that we can beat up. They didn't know who I was or what color I was with a name like Antonio. So I witnessed that firsthand. My next question is, with the things that are going on now, do you feel comfortable, or do you think that it would be for the benefit of the fighters to have a fighters union? I know that I was working on that. I was one of the original guys that was on that platform. I received death threats, and there was times where I would cry at night, just hurt because I couldn't believe some of the things that were being left on answer machines and emails that I was getting. How do you feel about a fighters union or a fighters association for fighters?
I think the fighters need to unionize amongst themselves first. I think it's going to be tough for me to sit in a circle with guys and hold hands and roast marshmallows and s'mores and sing Kumbaya when I got my entire division that's hating on me, or my entire division who always riding against me or saying negative things. So I think in general, I think fighters in general need to come together. We can talk up a fight. We can promote a fight. At the end of the day, we beating each other up, blood, sweat, and we hugging afterwards anyway. So why not have each other back? We are our biggest network. If I got a series coming out on YouTube, I should be able to text every UFC fighter in my cell phone and have them repost this for me or come to my event or support that. We're our biggest network, and we don't support each other. We cut each other down. We talk crazy about each other, and then at the end of the day, we all want to come together and want more money and want to be treated differently. I think it's going to start with us actually start to realize the power that we have together first, and then once I start seeing some of that, then maybe I will consider. But right now, I just don't feel the love from my own colleagues. It's not more than a handful of fighters that I would want to spend a Saturday with, hanging out. You know what I mean? Just because of the mindset, and it's just the douchebag mentality that's been incorporated into MMA that I'm just kind of good on.
Okay, I agree. Collins, what you got anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. A question I have, Tyron, is do you think just the lack of wanting to work together like that is also part? Does that also have a racial aspect to it, or is it just a bunch of guys of all races that are just not caring or seeing the significance of banding together at the top of the heap in the UFC as far as the fighters?
I think it's more so just different personalities, different education levels, and different backgrounds. We're the only sport that if you want to jump in there right now and fight a pro fight, guess what? You're a professional fighter. There's no draft. Right. There's no minimum requirement that you got to go attend the college for 1 or 2 years. Right. You can just never have a fight in your life and become a professional fighter. Yeah. So when you have someone that is, college educated, or someone that's not, someone that's grew up in the rural area, someone that grew up in the city, someone that grew up in the suburbs, everybody's going to be raised with different morals, different values. They're going to bring something different to the table, and a lot of people are stuck in their ways. So with that said, you got so many different personalities underneath one organization. It's going to be very difficult to have this perfect harmony that everybody think is going to be. And plus, we punching each other in the face. Yeah. And you trying to beat me, and I'm trying to beat you, and I want the belt. And it's, it's almost like we're like wolves going after each other for the same meal.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, and you hear a bunch of guys saying, I'm not here to make friends and this and that, but in reality, when we're trying to get a situation where the fighters get better treatment and get more promoted and get paid better, I think that fighters should do what you're saying, is try to band together, and that's something I don't even think I've seen people talk about even on any kind of a show at all, is to try to have the fighters band together to help promote each other and to try to get along. So I think that's a really good idea, man, that you have, Tyron, and I definitely hope that that other people will jump in with you. Sometimes it almost always seems like, though, someone has got to see someone else be first. So I'm sure, if you're reaching out, not that you should have to in your position, but it almost seems like your idea is so good. I just hope that somehow there can be some connections made between other fighters at the top to kind of look out for each other and make it just better for everybody.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to be the sacrificial lamb. Right. That's going to go out on the front row and, and jeopardize my situation and my rightful spot. Yeah, I've been fighting at this for 12 years.
Yep.
And sometimes you go out there and you make a strong statement, and then you get crushed to the bottom because it's 4 more fights that month. You got a whole big boxing / MMA promotion going on.
Yep.
And unless everybody gets behind it, you can go out there and just extend yourself, and nobody, the next month, they'll forget you even said it. Now you without a job.
Yeah.
And, like, everybody wants you to rally up. Now I'm like, where was this rally up when I was broke?
Yeah.
When I was barely making any money and I was ready to ban some revolution. Now that, I'm in a position where I'm actually, doing okay and trying to put myself in a position where I'm making some decent money, and I'm 35 years old. I can't sit out for 2 years,
right.
With a whole bunch of fighters that don't even like each other, and and do this entire deal. So
yeah.
I'm open-minded, but you got to show me some unity inside, the organization first before you try to get me to join in with you.
That makes sense. What do you? Go ahead.
It's funny. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead, Antonio.
I've always been in the crossfire with that turn, and my problem was I started thinking about
okay, and it looks
people
like
sacrifice their life.
Good.
And I recall when I was getting death threats for trying to do what I was doing, and I used to always ask myself, where would we be had they not did what they did? Would we still be slaves? We battling with that. You kind of helped me out with that because I never could really answer it honestly.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense when you're thinking about something that's like a civil right, or something like an activist doing something because it's the right thing to do. But when you're talking about a business and people that are making money in so many different nationalities and races, it does not come off to me as crazy that they can't unite and come together. You're right. If people wouldn't have, stood up, on a bus or just rallied up in the civil rights movement, we wouldn't have the liberties and opportunities that we have right now. But if it was like an African American union with fighters that felt they were being disregarded and treated differently, and not getting the same opportunities, or they feel like they have to work a little bit harder, and they actually joined together and was unified, and then at that point I wasn't a part of that, I would probably turn my nose up at myself. And I was like, hey, you know what? I'm in a perfect position. I'm the champion of the world. If I don't support people that are unified, it's not even black or white. If the fighters are unified and they come together and they actually make a plan and they support each other, then it would make a big difference.
Well stated. Okay. Very well stated.
All right, well, let's keep it pumping.
Yeah, absolutely. Tyron, let me ask you one thing. What do you think about what's going on with some recent rule changes? I don't know that this is applied to you at all that I recall, but regarding the eye poking where you have to have your fingers up. And
I got poked in the eye yesterday.
Oh, no, that's not good. So I know
that rule didn't come into play in the training.
Right, I hear you.
Poked in the eye.
I hear you, but there's nothing wrong. That rule is all good. There's no one that's against that, or do you have a different perspective?
I think when you're fighting, nobody's really thinking about if I'm coming towards you like this.
Right.
McKee, you might be different because you like that little old tricky crap, grabbing somebody's damn clavicle. You probably love that rule, and I never knew that was illegal. Grabbing somebody's clavicle. And also I think the knees to the head.
Yeah.
I think if you can knee to the head, you should be able to knee to the head anywhere.
Right.
Because anybody finna be playing games with you, got an index finger now, got a fingernail, you playing the up and down thing. When you're in the heat of the battle and you fighting, if your hand's down or not, that knee gonna feel pretty much the same. So I'm not a big kneer.
Yeah.
If they got rid of knees, they got rid of elbows, it wouldn't ruin my day.
Right.
But I just feel like there's been a lot of situations where fights were stopped prematurely, or someone was playing against the rules with the knees that, I don't think the judges and the referees know what's going on anyway.
Right.
So for our sport to already kind of be all over the place, for you to keep implementing new rules, and I don't feel like the old rules are being applied properly, I think they could have kind of sat down for a little bit and not try to add, especially the clavicle rule. That's like, who really thinking about grabbing right here?
Right.
And like that was like a big game changer. Me? I know you do.
Let you run with that, Antonio.
I pulled that clavicle right off.
But you never knew it was illegal. I never knew it was illegal.
No, I did know it was illegal. I used to get the underhook and then pull the clavicle from the other side and make you pee on yourself.
Nice. That reminds me of something I saw back years ago in a martial arts magazine in England. They said they had some crazy guy reaching in and pulling out someone's ribs in some underground fighting back then, and that goes back from before the first UFC. So there's all kinds of interesting stuff like that. But yeah, as far as that rule and the knees, that just seems like there's some controversy there. But the judging is bad.
What you got?
Do you feel
I don't know what's going on over here? I'm about to lose my mind.
Tyron, has there been any improvement in judging in the years you've been involved in the sport, or is it just as bad as it always was?
It just depends. It's a couple of states that are stinking up real bad. Also it's a lot of boxing judges that are judging MMA. Yeah. And most people, a judge is I don't want to go out on a limb, but I believe it's like a government job to be with the commission. These people may never had done martial arts in their life. They might not recognize that, okay, Antonio McKee is a wrestler. The fact that he's out striking a striker, that should score higher to me. Or if a striker is taking down a national champion wrestler, that might score higher. Or what is damage? Like what is a real definition of significant strikes? I think in general, the judges don't know what they're watching, and 3 different judges can be watching 3 different fights.
Yeah, very true, very true. And how about as far as refereeing? Has that gotten better, worse, or stayed the same since you've been involved with the sport?
I haven't had a terrible problem with referees. I haven't had a problem with, referees stopping a fight. I did have a referee that just kept wanting to break the fight up. Yeah. Like, I just took the dude down. He's like, oh. Yeah. I'm like, dang, let me get a chance to, get my groove going.
Yeah. What do you think, though, about the criticism about referees stopping fights too soon from the perspective of a fighter? And I know Antonio can weigh in this as well. Obviously, no one likes when someone keeps on getting punishment when they're clearly out or not able to defend themselves. But what do you think about the fact that the fans are getting so angry about referees stopping a fight? Maybe if someone looked like they didn't quite tap out, or they weren't quite unconscious in a choke, or they were kind of blocking shots. Is it better to err on the side of safety, or does a referee really need to try to give the fighter a chance to fight out of his position, even if it means he's taking a beating or being choked unconscious? I would like both of your opinions on that. If you want to go to the champ first, and then
I think it's different if it's amateur and professional. If the amateur protected fighter is not really on their record in real life, let them be prepared to fight another day. If it's professional and you don't want to tap out, I feel like your arm should get broken. If you don't want to, you're in a choke, I feel like you should be put to sleep. Right. Now, if you are a guy that's getting beat up, so don't be acting like, oh, it was okay. Well, if you was okay, you should have blocked, or you should have worked out of the situation. Right. Like a perfect example is Mike Chiesa was fighting against the Motown phenom Kevin Lee. Yes. And he said that he was squeezing his chin down and was about to burst through. Right. He looked like he was out to me. Yeah. His hands went up. And if you're a high-level jiu-jitsu guy with a lot of submissions, at what point has anybody ever showed you how to defend a choke? By not addressing the hands that surround your neck, not trying to get your back flat. And he had the wrong hand on the neck for that choke. Yeah. Or Chiesa could have gotten his back to the mat. He could have fought the hands, but when your eyes roll back and your hands go out, it looked like he was kind of going out for a split second. Yeah. And then he could have, by the time the fight is stopped and the choke is let go, he comes back and all of a sudden he's complaining. Is that an instinct, would you think, Tyron, that a fight is just going to do, or does that really show that they weren't out? It doesn't really show they weren't out. Every fighter is not willing to go to sleep. So the referee can't assume that because you didn't completely go numb that you were willing to go to sleep. So I think that's a problem. That was just a precarious situation. I looked at that fight a ton of times. I thought he was kind of out. And then he snapped in and was like, oh, okay, well, damn, I thought you was out. It wasn't like I was trying to take the fight away from you.
Right.
But I also can't go back and say, okay, oh, no, he wasn't out, keep fighting. That's not how it works.
No.
And, defend the choke with actual real rear naked choke defense.
Yeah.
But don't get put in there.
Right.
You were looking at the clock, and he just slid his hand right underneath your neck with no actual no fight. You just kind of let him slide the hand on your neck. So I don't know. Every situation is different.
Yeah, absolutely, and that was controversial, and that it does make you wonder. All of a sudden, he looked like he just stopped defending himself. But what do you think overall, Antonio? Can you hear me? It sounds almost like there was a radio going off somewhere. But what's your thought about the too late, too soon referees' dilemma and quandary that they have in a fight, when to end it?
Well, I think you should educate the judges. I mean, the referee, of course, should have some serious training and know the difference between when somebody's taking a beating and defending themselves and when they're not. And if the fighter is not aware that he's in danger, hey, whatever the outcome is what it is. Yeah. I'm kind of agreeing with Tyron. Hey, you got the right to tap. You know how to tap. If you don't want to tap, snap.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Or you don't want to tap, nap. Go to sleep.
And it makes sense, but then for the amateur level or something like that, maybe a little bit more protection and erring on the side of the safety. And I think Tyron agrees with that, and it looks like we lost possibly a picture.
At the amateur level, I mean, I'm getting all kind of
some feedback. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead again, Antonio. Okay, it looks like we're having some problem. So Tyron.
Yeah, I think he was just saying that. I think he was saying at the amateur level, protect the fighter.
Yeah, I think you're right. He was agreeing with what you said.
What do you choose between Floyd and Conor?
There we go. I think I know what he said there. Love to have the breakdown from the chosen one on Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor.
I think people are making it too much of a fight. It's not really a fight, in my opinion. It's a spectacle. It's an entertainment thing that I'm excited to watch because I think it's great for the sport. But I don't technically do the X's and O's on someone who's never boxed professional versus a guy who's beat all the best of the best in their prime as a professional. So I'm excited to watch the fight. Hopefully I get an opportunity to be there and cover it. But just in general, I think it's I mean, everybody has a chance. Everybody can land a punch, so I never counted him out, but I just can't see him going out there and being extremely competitive against Floyd.
No, I wouldn't think so either. And I've talked to about 40 or 50 fighters, and I think there may be one that thought maybe just the toughness of being an MMA.
And that was Conor.
Yeah, right. I think it was. That's right. I forgot. It was Conor McGregor that told me that. But, yeah, I think it's definitely a real question mark on what he's going to do there. Not only that, but if Floyd were to lose this, that would look all bad for Floyd and boxing to about the highest degree imaginable. Wouldn't you agree?
I agree.
So yeah, I think that's probably not going to happen. What about the thought of Conor coming back to fight? They're saying he's already talking about maybe coming back to fight Khabib or something like that. Would you feel, and this could be even putting on your commentator hat as well, do you think he's coming back for sure, or you would doubt it, or what do you think as far as Conor?
I doubt it. I don't see you experiencing that type of life-changing money and then come back and make a fraction of that. So, no, I don't see it happening.
Right. And also WME and with Dana White or whoever is not going to give him $50 million for sure. Right?
Yeah. Well, he's making a lot more than that for Floyd.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, and then Floyd's not going to want to jump back into an MMA octagon in the rematch, is he, after he beats Conor?
I don't think so.
Yeah, because people are saying that would be good. I know that, and then Antonio wanted me to ask you a couple things as well, but hopefully we'll get him back. If not, then we'll wrap it up. I really do appreciate your time. We're trying to get Antonio back. And so let me
I was about to cut. I'm like, I got one more question.
I love it.
Champ got to eat.
I love it. I appreciate it.
One more question.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I'm going to think of a good one, and I really appreciate your time. After beating Damian Maia, who do you want next? Who does a champ feel deserves it next? A shot at the title after Damian Maia.
You know what? I don't do that anymore because people get all bent out of shape. I'm not a guy that they have allowed to pick and say who wants to fight next. Everybody else can, but I don't. So I'm just gonna go out there and beat Damian Maia and win and conquers all. And that's my goal, and that's what I'm going to do.
That sounds good. Well, that's good enough for me. Hey, champ, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show with me and Antonio McKee. It's been an honor and a pleasure. I'm going to keep cheering for you as I always have. Go and make it a knockout, and I'm going to be there supporting you, and really think you're one of the best fighters, pound for pound, in the world today.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate it. You guys be good. Tell McKee I said peace out.
You got it. Thanks so much again, Tyron.
All right.
Have a good night. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Tyron Woodley. Hopefully we'll get our co-host Antonio McKee back. But, man, that's a good guy. Very, very thoughtful. As you guys know that see the UFC tonight and the recaps, you know, Tyron is definitely a good commentator. And he's really, really a guy that has worked so hard and even just had his eye poked there as he just showed in training, which there could be a rule against that in training. But, you know, absolutely someone that I think we can cheer for. He takes a lot of heat, but he's an amazing athlete, and he's fighting the best of the best every single fight, and that's not easy. Like I said, with all respect to boxing, it isn't like the fighter, the champion fights number 15 contender or number 20 contender or someone that was made number 1 contender that really had no right being. You know, it's the best against the best, and, you know, I think Tyron Woodley is going to keep it going. You know, I have more of a jiu-jitsu background than a wrestling background, so all respect for Damian Maia. I like him a lot. He's paid his dues. I think he's 4 years older than Tyron, and as an older guy myself, a lot of times I cheer for the older guy. I think Damian's up against it, and I think Tyron is going to show his skill, and but hopefully it'll be a competitive fight because Damian, you know, is a gentleman and a great representative, as is Tyron of the highest level of our sport. So I don't know if we can get Antonio McKee back here, but let's see if we can. But if not, we'll be wrapping it up soon. Want to thank you guys so much for checking us out and coming and supporting as always. We have an amazing show coming up tomorrow. MMA Power Hour, 6 p.m. Wednesday night, our usual time. Starting out will be Tara La Rosa, the legend of women's MMA. Then we have Mike Thomas Brown, the man with the red beard, former World Extreme Cage Fighting champion, and now top trainer at American Top Team, where Tyron trains. After that, we have a very hot prospect that Tyron is probably familiar with. I'm sure he is, training over there at ATT as well, in Jordan Young. And then we are going to finish with an in-depth interview with Mr. Gene LaBelle. You make sure you have your coffee or your hot cocoa or something because we want you to sit in and enjoy. And I've chatted with Gene several times. He has a lot of great stuff he wants to discuss, and I think we're going to go a good long time with an in-depth interview with the 85-year-old legend of judo and catch wrestling. So love to have my co-host here, Antonio, to wrap it up with me, but since he's not here, we'll let you know you'll be seeing him again on the Super Sessions with me every time as we get huge MMA names, and we're gonna tell you that we're gonna wrap it up here. Thanks so much again to our sponsors, Fuji Sports. Check out the discount code you need to put in, which is Power Hour. Gets you 15% already off of already the amazing prices. If I can talk here. Thank you for Combat Sports, combatpress.com, the best website out there. Sorry for botching the name, combatpress.com. Check it out. They're coming up, and they provide great information, ratings, and coverage of everything. And Cross-Train MMA Fighter, iFluxy, here are the great people of the studios. And we will be seeing you in less than 24 hours for that show I just described. Colin, Crandall here, your host of the MMA Power Hour, and I'm tapping out.
Founded in 1969, Fuji Sports is your #1 source for gis and grappling gear, specializing in superb customer service and high-quality judo and jiu-jitsu uniforms and competitive prices. Fuji Sports is a proud manufacturing partner with many established organizations throughout the world, and is also a proud sponsor of U.S. Olympians, BJJ World Champions, and MMA Superstars. Fuji Sports offers gis, rash guards, t-shirts, backpacks, shorts, gloves, and more. Visit fujisports.com to buy or customize your own gear today.